Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Insider, brought to you, inevitably, by Vanishing Inc. My guest today is a television host, an actor, a producer, a consultant, a magician, and a magic and app creator. He was also in an episode of The Bold and the Beautiful. It's none other than Jonathan Levit. Jonathan, how are you this morning?
Good morning. I can't believe you led with Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
You know,
That's the...
most people lead with the X-Files. That's usually the one they all lead with, the X-Files. No, the Bold and the
Bold and...
Beautiful. It was
What's
a
your
good one.
origin story? You've got 43 seconds.
My origin story. My father was a magician. Was as a young man, I found some of his magic props in the bottom drawer of a dresser in our basement in St. Louis, Missouri. When I was 8 years old, I was fortunate enough to be part of IBM Ring 1 in St. Louis, surrounded by amazing people, mentors, friends, and I got started in magic 41 years ago. Oh my gosh, I just gave you my age. I can't believe I did it. So that is the origin story. Does that work?
That's good. And you were in time as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
You recreated Thurston on stage with Neil Patrick Harris. How did
Yes.
that come about, and what was the experience like?
Well, I will tell you, recreating Thurston on stage was potentially the greatest moment in my magic career. And I don't say that lightly. It was one of the most wonderful things I've ever done as a magician. Jim Steinmeier directed and wrote the 20-minute presentation. We intended it for and did it for the Conference on Magic History in Los Angeles. And I think that was in November. But prior to that, in the year, we did a week at the castle with it. And you know what? I'm going to back up here and correct. I believe you've conflated these. That's right. I actually did a presentation called Palingenesia with Neil Patrick Harris, which we did at the Conference on Magic History one year, where we were recreating an illusion from Tobin. Right, and it was amazing. So I played the Somnambulist, and Neil Patrick Harris played the Butcher, a la Sweeney Todd, and would cut off my limbs in a box, and my hands would disappear, my legs would disappear, my head would disappear, and then regenerate, and then I'd come back out and get him in the end, and then the cycle continues. But now I'm the Butcher, and we did that, and then I don't know if it was 1 year or 2 years later or whatever it was, but we did Thurston, and I was able to recreate Thurston on stage again with Jim, and Palingenesia was also with Jim Steinmeier, and so I can't even. It was these are the experiences in magic life that you and in life that you hold on to and hold dear. We could do shows for thousands of people, but the idea of doing those recreations of great performances, illusions, those are the moments that are really special, especially when you are working with a genius such as Jim Steinmeier. So
Absolutely.
it was great. So that Thurston recreation, man, that was fun. We did the sawing, and we did rising cards. And I have to say, the sawing illusion was, I believe it was a 12-minute routine. And we had people coming up to us saying it's the best sawing they've ever seen. So rather than let's get it done in 30 seconds, 45 seconds, it was 12 minutes. The box looks like the size of a caboose. There's no way. But you know what? It is a fooler. There's one moment on stage where I'm standing there as Thurston in full garb, voice, wig, everything. And I look down, and Rob Zabrecki and David Regal are the assistants in the show, helping with the box, and there's a moment where Alani is in the box that she's cut in half. They lift the box with her head in it, with her upper body in it. They lift it off of the base and carry it out. And I'm not kidding you. As Jonathan Levit in Thurston. As Thurston, I'm standing on stage, and in my inner monologue is, what is happening? How is that happening? It's such a fooler. I was like, what? That is so fooling. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that is so fooling in my Menchie way. But I was Thurston, so it's great.
Why do you think magic history is so important, and what got you first to dive into that history rabbit hole?
Well, I'm magic history is so important because it's our past and it leads us into our future, and it gives us creative opportunities and understands where we come from. So helps us understand where we come from. Uh, but
Sure.
but as far as how I got into it all, I'm very lucky because I've been surrounded by
Well,
great historians, and Mike Caveney and Jim Steinmeier, and the list goes on. And to be involved in the conference on magic history, I would say, just, do you need me to set up chairs? I'll set up chairs, whatever I can do to be in the room, and then to take part in some of these experiences, and then it's just a natural course of action, a course of how it all goes. I've just been very lucky, very lucky.
what are some older books that you think every magician should read?
Oh, wow. Well, Greater Magic. There are books on history. There are books on tricks that are historical, right? So, and I have to say that contemporary books. If you look at Jim's contemporary books on the history of magic, and Caveney, who obviously puts out his entire series, all of them are interesting to dive into. I would say Greater Magic is one that you absolutely want to dive into, and then Kaufman has re-released that as well. So there's pick any of them up and you'll enjoy them.
Fair. Okay then. So, who are some magicians that are no longer with us that you wish you'd had the chance to see live?
And by the way, I'm sorry. Everybody should be reading Hiding the Elephant from Steinmeier.
Oh gosh, yes.
I mean, every single magician should be reading Hiding the Elephant. Done. You asked who I would like to see perform.
Some magicians that are no longer with us that you would like to see perform.
Well, if we go back, I'd love to see on stage Thurston, Blackstone Senior, Keller. I'd like to see any of them, right? Virgil, any of them. And then, and then contemporaries, I'd like to go back and watch Mullica again.
Sure.
In fact, somebody asked me that the other day. They said, who would you like to see? If you could see anybody today, who would it be? And my answer was Mullica. It just immediately came to my mind.
What was it about him that resonated so much with you?
His comedic sense matched with his magical skill, but his comedic sense, his timing, and his work with an audience, it's like kind of nobody better.
You worked with, you mentioned the X-Files at the top, and here's the X-Files question. You worked with Ricky Jay in an episode of the X-Files. How did you get that gig, and what was it like working with Ricky? Because I have heard that he often isn't a fan of magicians.
It was fantastic working with Ricky, and I'll tell you why. I think it's because we were, at that moment, we were colleagues. We were working in a very different capacity. We weren't working as magicians. We were working as actors.
Right.
We had magic moments, but we were actors in that show, in that episode. So it was different. We met under those circumstances.
Sure.
How did I get it? I'm sorry, I'm thinking back to it. It was so here's the deal. I've been in Los Angeles for 4 years, something like this. And the guest starring role in the X-Files was my first acting job. And my dream was to come out to Los Angeles and be an actor on the X-Files. That's what I wanted to do. So, so I was done. Yeah, do that. Just have a dream and then you do it. I was easy. But I was, I was prepared and I was lucky. And I was in the right place at the right time with the right team around me, and I had the opportunity. So when the call came in for the audition, I was ready for it. I was prepared for it, and and I had the audition. Now I was surrounded by a ton of people. I was surrounded by actors that were trying to do magic, and I was surrounded by magicians who were trying to act. It would be interesting because many of those magicians have become my close friends. But at the time, I didn't know most of them. I recognized them, but I didn't know them because I was new to this place and I was new to kind of working in these circles here in Los Angeles. So many of those magicians I am proud to call my friends now. But at the time, they were magicians that I recognized, and we were just all there to audition for the show. So, so I went in, and interesting, and I went through 3 auditions, by the way, to get this job. This was grueling. And the second audition finished on a Friday, and I had to wait over the weekend to get the call for the next audition. It was awful. Awful. But the director of that episode has become a very close friend, Thomas J. Wright, brilliant director. And when I've gone on to work with him on other projects, and still continues to be a great friend of mine. And Vince Gilligan from Breaking Bad fame wrote that episode. And so it was a wonderful team. But in the episode, I've talked to Tom about this quite a bit since it all happened. And what got it for me was that I was an actor and I was a magician and able to do both at the same time.
Right.
You know, which is it's a thing. It's not an easy thing to do, you know. And many actors are not really magicians, and magicians are not really actors. And so to be able to do both, and there's only a handful, I mean, I'll say there's only a handful of people that really do that well, I think, together. But there were some scenes in the audition that required both happening at the same time. And then there was also a moment in the script where we do the hand turning. You know, we've all seen the hand turning, but at that point, not a lot of people were doing it. Well, I did it. So in the audition, I was able to get everybody down to the ground and do the hand turning bit. And I don't know if that cinched it, but I think that didn't hurt to be able to actually do that in the room.
I'm sure it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. But talking of actors and magicians, you taught magic to actors in Now You See Me. How does that actually work? What and how were you teaching them? And what were the actors like learning magic?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I'd like to say I did work on Now You See Me, and I've had the opportunity to consult on many shows, TV and film. But at the same time as doing Now You See Me, I was doing The Incredible Burt Wonderstone. And that was an interesting project. That was a 4-month project, whereas Now You See Me, I was on for a much shorter period of time because they actually overlapped. And I had an opening in my schedule from Burt Wonderstone to be able to go off and do Now You See Me and then come back to Burt Wonderstone. And the reason I mention this is because the experiences were very different, to answer your question. When working with an actor, because as an actor, I'm able to come in and sort of talk to them from an actor standpoint as well. And I try to help them become magicians, right? What does it take to be a magician? What do we do as magicians? Looking, how do we observe things? How do we pick an object up? We talk about picking up a pen or a pencil, and a magician picks up a pencil in a very different way than a human being picks up a pencil, than a normal person picks up a pencil. We pick up a pencil and there's something to it. There's an intention behind it. There's an intention to everything we do. So I talk to actors about those kinds of things, and then we obviously teach them the mechanics of doing a trick. What I taught on the X-Files, my first day on the X-Files, which was a 10-day gig as an actor. My first day, though, was just as the magic consultant. And I had to teach Jillian, it's interesting, how to do the hand turn, and also David Duchovny how to do a coin vanish. And so I said to David, there are 4 ways we could do the coin vanish. And I started him off with an easy option, moving up to the hard option, which was a Goshman pinch, right, with a coin. Uh-huh. And the Goshman pinch, right? And so David says, "Oh, let's go with that one." I'm thinking, what? So as it turns out, actors have a real capacity to pick up this kind of stuff. It's what they do, and then magicians have the capacity to actually take that and turn it into a magic trick. But as far as the mechanics are concerned, they dive in with the incredible Burt Wonderstone, I was working with Steve Carell and Alan Arkin and Steve Buscemi and Olivia Wilde, and teaching them how to become magicians and how to incorporate the magic that had been generated. And by the way, Jim Steinmeier, I'll go back to Jim, was the consultant on the film in pre-production leading up to it, designing a lot of the magic, working with the script, et cetera. And then I came in during production to kind of not take over, but incorporate what he had done, and then also work with the production as it moved forward. So I was teaching them a lot of the magic that had already been created for the show, for the movie, and then also teaching them how to become magicians. They dove in. It was fantastic. And I was also Steve Carell's hands in the film. So a lot of times when you see Steve doing magic, it's my hands. But now you move to Now You See Me, and it was a very different experience. Much of the magic that was being done in Now You See Me was through CGI or through effects, whereas Burt Wonderstone was
For real
practical magic, where we actually were seeing the magic happen. Some of it was CGI, but most of it was practical magic. And then in Now You See Me, except for those big effects, there were some moments where they had to do some sleight of hand skill, like the card throwing or the manipulation with the ping pong balls, or the card changes that Jesse Eisenberg did. And so I came in and worked with them on how to become or think like a magician, but also how to do those physical mechanical tricks. But I got to tell you, they ate it up. They would come in, Jesse, especially Dave Franco and Jesse Eisenberg would come in and say, what else can we do? What can we do today? What can we learn today? It was amazing. Now, Burt Wonderstone, being on the set for 4 months, there came a point where, I think they were getting a little tired of doing, can we just do this with CGI?
This magic stuff's hard.
But they right, it's hard. Magic is hard. So, as my friend Robert Ramirez would say, magic is hard. Anyway, that's the story I would say to that is but they were into it and really gung ho, and actors like doing this stuff. They like doing something new and broadening their horizons and spreading their wings. So it's fun.
While we're on the subject of celebrities, you frequently perform in LA for other celebrities, Johnny Depp, Nicolas Cage, Tony Curtis. How do those gigs differ from regular gigs that the majority of the listeners to this podcast would do? Or do they?
You know what? They don't. They don't. And they shouldn't. Quite frankly, they shouldn't. Just the fact that somebody is now, I will say, like performing for in some of those cases that you mentioned, they're more intimate affairs. Right. In some cases, they're, these folks might just be part of a party where we're doing something. But in the case of the three that you just mentioned, those were very intimate affairs, right? Where we were in a room working with either 3 of them, 4 of them, 10 of them. That's it, much in the way that we're all doing it now during a pandemic. So it just was preparing us for this moment, really.
Beautiful.
I did my first live show in 8 months, about 3 weeks ago or so. And 10 people really far away. Anyway, so very intimate affair. So I would say that is in a way a difference, but ultimately it's the same thing. You're still presenting the magic in the way you present it. You're still engaging with the audience, no matter who it is, in the same way. And that's what it should be. And sure. We shouldn't be intimidated by the fact that it's Nicolas Cage or what have you. Now, I will say, doing it for Tony Curtis, even though everything I've said is still true, that was pretty cool doing it for Tony Curtis.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. But talking of pandemics, in these strange times, you've now transitioned to doing online shows. Yeah. What have you learnt about that you're prepared to share about doing shows on Zoom?
Sure. And I talk about this in the lectures that I present as well. And, I was very fortunate. I thought about this 8 months ago. I was like, this is where it's going. So I have cybermagicshow.com, and I've been doing cyber shows for a lot since in this period of time, and they've evolved. I look back and what my show was 7 months ago, versus what it is today. It's in many ways a very different show, and in many ways very similar. But not only has the production value changed, and we've all had to get up to speed. In 8 months, it's amazing where we've all gotten to. We all have little mini studio lights and cameras. It's crazy. Whoever would have thought that every magician on the planet is now a television producer? So we've all done that. But as far as the magic is concerned, I find that what I've been doing is taking what I used to do live, and still do live in some cases now, and how do I adapt that to the virtual medium? And then how do you take existing items that you may have had in your arsenal but not done? I mean, I have a lot of effects that I just love, but I don't really do them. I don't perform them, and I'm looking at them again and going, that works here. That works over Zoom. So how can I take something that I've enjoyed as just I don't want to say a toy, but something that we call it a toy. Oh, it's a toy. It's fun. It's something fun that we do as magicians. But how can I actually use that and incorporate that now in a show? And then also thinking about new ways of presenting magic over Zoom and taking advantage of the screen and this frame that we have, right? And now, fortunately, I've done a lot of work on TV, and so I already think in those terms. That's been helpful. But if you don't think in those terms, just remember that you're working. It's the same. When I'm working with an audience, it's the same thing. When I have a Zoom gallery, I'm still engaging. I'm still watching people, noticing when people do something funny and then calling them out. So just as if I were in a live show, how do you take that same live experience and bring it to the virtual stage, still engaging, still interacting, still observing, and not pretending like nobody's there? Right. They're still there. They're still engaging with you. They're still laughing. They're still clapping. They're still doing something funny, and you can still call that out just as if you were in a live show. So I think that's really important, is to not lose sight of that. Now, I will say I did a lecture last night, and I said, it's so bizarre. There's no audio coming unless I'm actively engaging with somebody and putting them in my picture-in-picture. There's no audio. Nobody's saying anything. So it's literally like you're working to. I'm seeing people react, but not hearing them react. And I thought the other day, if I were a deaf magician, how would I perform? How would I do it? And in many ways, I'm seeing that this is what's happening here. I still have to be engaged. I still have to be observant. I still have to communicate and hear in my head the applause, the laughter, the reactions. I hear it here. Even though it's not going in here, it's going in here. I'm still hearing it. It's really interesting. It's fun.
Let's talk about the app. For the bare bones of the effect for the uninitiated is that you get your audience to create a random number, you then call that number, somebody answers, and they're able to accurately name a card that someone's selected. Regal said that it's the perfect marriage of plot and possibility, which is a lovely quote. Do you think your work as an actor has made you think more about that, about plot and indeed possibility, and how they can combine?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm always thinking about the organic aspect of a trick, an effect. The Stranger is obviously I would say the culmination of all of that at this point. But yeah, how do we take something and put it into an organic, make it organic? Even a simple card trick. How do you take an easy card trick and you turn it into a miracle? You turn it into an event, and you do that through emotion and story and connecting. Right? You take something that's very simple and you say, how do we break it down mechanically, physically, and what we say orally? Right? How do we break it all down into those things to make it into something bigger and give it a plot? Right? And so I think that the acting has helped me to do that. And I try to teach magicians how to do that, through coaching, through lectures, and through independent private coaching. I do that quite a bit. We talk about, it's amazing. Somebody will come to me with maybe a trick or a routine that they want to work on. Invariably, we end up talking about character and structure and story and script and through line. We always do, because that's the thing we need. That's the thing that we need. And we can take those foundational items and concepts, and we can put them into anything and everything we do. So So they're really key. So yes, I would say that the acting background has helped me tremendously in that.
Talk to me about the community aspect of the app, because
Mm.
that's quite a new idea in magic, right?
Yes, and it's one that I'm immensely proud of. The app, but you mentioned the playing card, but of course it can do so much more if you want
Sure.
to go into that. Like I've been now having the stranger on the phone on a video call reveal that their birthday matches the birthday of the person we're working with. So it could be a birthday or a word or a number, or just kind of anything. The possibilities are endless in this regard, and so we're creating this really interesting experience, and the community is there's been this wonderful community that's grown out of this effect, where we have magicians all over the world who are interested in helping you be better because they're all in the same community. And so people have asked me, when they see me do this with one of my closest friends, Tad Nyland, who calls himself Steve. When I call him and he's on a FaceTime call, and I've had magicians say, does he come with the trick? Right? Because who are we going to call? Well, as it turns out, you can call kind of anybody. Not only can you call anybody but and make it look like a random call, but you can call anybody in the community that wants to help you at that moment. And so we have this wonderful engaged group of people that they're all positive. On the Facebook group, everybody's positive, helping you, giving you ideas on how to be a better stranger, how to perform it in a more engaging way. They're sharing ideas and thoughts and tips. It's amazing. And then we have this WhatsApp group. We have WhatsApp groups in different parts of the world, but the one here in the States, for instance, and we have one in the UK and Canada and Germany and France. So it's wonderful. You'll go into this group and you'll say, I need somebody to help me right now, or I need somebody to help me in 20 minutes or tonight or tomorrow. And you'll have this immediate stream of people that all say, I can help you. Yeah. What time do you need me? I can be there. Because there is something amazing and wonderful about being the stranger in addition to being the magician. We want to be it's so much fun because it's an improv acting moment where we get to just have a good time. And because the information can be communicated to the stranger behind the scenes, there's nothing to code. There's nothing to do. It's like before the stranger even gets a phone call, they know that their birthday is April 29th and the word is advantages if you're doing wiki test or whatever it is from your book test, and the playing card is the Queen of Diamonds. They know it. So now, and the serial number on the bill that was called out is this, they already have that information. And so now by the time they get the phone call, all they're doing is having a phone call, which means that they can do whatever they want to do. So people are, I'm in my car, or I'm waiting for my food, or I'm picking up my girlfriend, or whatever the scenario they want to make is.
Is there a league table of like who the best actors are on it? Are there really popular ones that get busy?
I refuse to comment on the grounds that it may incriminate me.
Fair enough.
You know what? Let me tell you this. Everybody gets better and better at this, right? Better at being a stranger. And every time they do it, they get better. Oftentimes, I'm the stranger. As people will say, can I get somebody to help me? And I'll respond, I can help you because I want to be the stranger, right? And so anytime we do it, if I ever do it, very often they'll come back and say, any feedback? And I'll give a tip or two. I'll try this, try this. I've had a lot of experience being the stranger, obviously. So we all have tips. We all share ideas. But certain people, you are your go-to people. And that's why I built into the app in a later update, the ability to enter 10 people in your settings. So you can very quickly choose the people you want to use. So, there's lots of opportunity there to play around, to go to your diehards or to try somebody new.
Jonathan, we have sadly run out of time, but we always end. We have, I know, it's dreadful. But we always end with 4 quick fire questions. Are you ready? Favorite pizza topping?
Go.
Favorite pizza topping?
Oh my God. Calamari olives.
Favorite movie?
Zelig.
Favorite person or people who make music?
I have to say Casey Lansdale, my girlfriend. She's amazing.
Okay, name check. I'll put a link in the show notes to her.
Please, Casey Lansdale, Lansdale. Casey, Kasey.
And finally, who would you rather fight? One giant Andy Gladwin or 100 tiny Joshua Jays?
100 tiny Joshua Jays. It's not even a question.
Should people want to find out more about you, Jonathan, or get hold of your work? Where are the best places for them to follow you on their social media?
JonathanLevit.com or at Jonathan Levit.
Perfect. Jonathan,
One
thank
T,
you so
one T,
much.
one T.
One T. Thank you so much for giving me so much of your time this morning. I really appreciate it.
Damien, thank you. This has been a tremendous amount of fun. Thank you so much.